the wasteland. He's bad, he's beautiful, he's crazy. It's the man with no name.
Pops. Pops?
Besides the fact this episode gave me huge Thunderdome vibes, you may have thought it didn't give much in the way of new clues, but trust me, there are some super revealing hints at where the show is going. Now, if you haven't seen my episode 1 and 2 breakdown, be sure to check that out. I'll leave a link to it in the description, and make sure to like and subscribe because we aren't going to be wasting any time. Let's get into it. The episode starts and ends with our main characters silhouetted against the sun. The Roman god of the sun was Sol, which is the same name Marcus and the Mithraic call their god. Mother is on her way to kill the serpent with a gun that would make even James Cameron blush, but as I theorized last week, she won't go through with killing this entity, an entity that is essentially her child. On her way, she runs into Father. He's been tasked by the supercomputer known as Trust to lead these Mithraic slaves to the serpent. The plan is to have the serpent eat them and have the explosives attached to their chest detonate. What Father and the others don't know yet is that the serpent is an herbivore. Father also reminds Mother to be careful.
I'll be cautious. And so should you. You haven't got your eyes.
We last saw the necromancer eyes shoved down Marcus's throat by Lucius near the end of season 1. In this episode, we can really see how Marcus has taken on superhuman-like abilities, like withstanding Father's shock stick and climbing these cliffs with ease. Marcus believes that it's the power of Sol flowing through him that has granted him this strength. He'll later tell Decima that the snakeskin he found will be able to trap Sol's energy during the daytime so he can use it at night. I, however, believe these powers come from the eyes he ingested and not Sol. These eyes have somehow become a part of him, but at the same time it might also cause adverse effects. Like, these veins cannot be healthy, and I'm surprised no one has been like, dude, you should get that checked out. In the tank they commandeered from the Atheist last episode, Decima picks up something with huge energy heading their way, something that isn't airborne. We never get confirmation on who or what this is, but to me there are 3 options: Father, Mother, and a mysterious third being we've yet to encounter. This is hinted at later in the show when it's found out that the thing that killed those colonists in episode 2 couldn't have been the serpent. Mother tells Father that her tests on it indicate its scales could not withstand the acidic ocean waters, so something big is out there that can penetrate the acidic water that we haven't seen yet. Lucius and the others hear what appears to be the serpent.
Almost sounds like a necromancer siren.
That's because it is the child of a necromancer. Father and the Mithraic run into Marcus. Marcus wants as many followers for his new church, and he's able to knock out Father to free them. Listen to these mechanical noises as his veins move, hinting again that Mother's eyes have somehow become a part of him. With the prisoners freed, there is one holdout, Lucius. He still believes Marcus to be a false prophet and would rather endure being a prisoner than follow him. One of the more interesting side stories this episode is that of Paul, Campion, and Vril. Vril brings them to Marcus's hideout for repairs from that gunshot wound she sustained last episode. And there are some really interesting pieces of information here that raise some red flags. First, they set up that Vril will never be able to run faster than a human.
The talk on this leg's gonna suck now. Won't even be faster than a human.
This has got to foreshadow an event in the future where she, you guessed it, can't outrun a human. She also tells Campion that her mom once broke her neck. We can assume this is Decima, however, because Vril is implanted with the memories of Decima's real daughter, we actually don't know if this neck breaking happened when she was human or an android. It might be really crazy if it's later revealed that Decima killed her own daughter and brought her back as an android as some sort of repentance. Android Vril says that real Vril was often sad, hinting that the connection between her and her mother was not good. And then there's this philosophical discussion about the difference between pretending and being.
I would like that. To not have to mimic, but to simply be.
We also get the start of what seems to be a bit of a spark between Campion and Vril. Campion will later ask Mother if there are other robots that can give birth like her, and perhaps he's asking this for other reasons. I think the writers are setting us up for an eventual confrontation between Vril and her mother. In the trailers we get this image, and I'm starting to believe this figure is Vril. We also see Campion use the device Marcus utilized to escape from the wreckage. I'd put my money on this being used later in the season. Paul also finds Marcus's scalpel, thereby confirming to him that Marcus is still alive. He knows this is Marcus's weaknesses from season 1. He also knows that Marcus isn't his real father, rather an atheist who has had his face reconstructed to match it. So Paul really has this dilemma that the episode ends on. There's this guy who killed his father, but at the same time he's claiming to be Soul's prophet, and Paul is all about Soul. We also get confirmation that Decima and Marcus are a thing. Mother is accompanied by atheist soldiers as she ascends the mountain. Trust wants that serpent killed, believing it to be a threat to the colony, but I don't trust this computer. I think it knows a lot more than it's putting on. Mother does her cross-shaped pose, something she'd normally do before preparing to fly. Marcus will later do this same pose, again hinting at the connection between these two, especially after he swallowed her eyes. It's no coincidence that Mother tells Cleaver here,
"Why not get your eyes fixed? They belonged to someone else, didn't they?"
At the top of the mountain, Mother decides not to kill the serpent when she finds out it's not a meat-eater and it wasn't one to kill those colonists in episode 2. It poses no threat. They'll end up taking it to be studied in a cave down by the atheist camp. Regardless, Father still wants to kill it, but won't because it means so much to Mother. Father also says 2 grim lines of foreshadowing.
Love be the death of us all.
And to Campion,
A father should never outlive his son.
I believe they're setting Father up to take over the million-year-old android he's been putting together. Campion tells Father that if he breaks down,
that if you ever break down, they can just transfer your mind to a different body.
In my episode 1 and 2 breakdown, I talked about how this entity from the trailers is likely the fully put together ancient android, and now I'm thinking it will have Father's memory implanted into it. Campion also wrestles with telling Mother that Marcus is alive. He's conflicted because if he were to tell her, it would likely mean the death of Vril, who he's grown fond of.
You know, some atheists will burn equipment if they think Mithraeus even touched it.
Father's revelation that his blood regenerates this million-year-old android sets him on the path for more fuel blood. The blood also killed the radioactive plants that grew on its surface, and I can't help but think that this will play an important role later on. Sue also finds out that the serpent is approximately 6 months old, which lines up exactly with when Mother would have given birth, so she knows that Lamia is the mother. Paul is taken to talk to Trust. In exchange for information about Marcus, he'll give Paul his pet mouse, something that went missing last season. Paul even says this new mouse acts weird and might not even be his real mouse. Regardless, Trust informs Paul that within 24 hours, Marcus and his cohort will be wiped out. Paul, Campion, and Holly venture out to Marcus's camp, with Paul wanting to warn Marcus of the impending attack. Meanwhile, Father's efforts to restore the ancient android show that it has started to develop a caul, or membrane that covers a fetus, similar to those that covered the children when they were born. While traveling to the scrap market, Father tells Hunter that he's saving a particular joke for someone. We know Father loves his dad jokes, but we don't know who exactly he's saving this for. I think it's for when he brings the ancient android online. It's here Hunter almost gives away his soul pendant in exchange for fuel blood, but I found it rather interesting Father doesn't let him go through with this. Perhaps knowing how much it means to his son. Hunter received this pendant back in episode 7 of season 1, and he'll give it to his father for protection during his fight. In exchange for fighting Billy, the industrial android, Father will receive 5 gallons of this fuel blood. The fight is pretty badass and proves that being smart can win over being strong. We also briefly meet a potential new love interest of Tempest. Not exactly sure how he'll fit into the story, but they generally don't introduce someone for no reason. Back at the Mithraic hideout, Marcus tells the others he's done with the formality of the old religion, like being called Your Eminence. He also puts his head through this skeletal starfish symbolic of Saul. It's here he sees Holly, Campion, and Paul watching them. Notice how Vril gets a fuel blood transfusion to make up for the blood she's lost. Even though Marcus did kill Paul's real father, all signs point to Paul joining Marcus. Campion doesn't care too much about religion, but it'll be Vril that keeps him with Marcus. Paul also knows of this impending attack, and if there are 3 kids there, it'll make that attack far more complicated. That's pretty much it for this episode of Raised by Wolves. This season only has 6 episodes, and judging by how intense the trailers have been, I'm predicting things to pick up quite quickly. As usual, I want to hear your thoughts and theories in the comments below. Thanks for watching, make sure to like and subscribe, and for more bad takes, you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ThinkStoryYT. Until next time, remember...
You know him, you love him, he's...
Pops. Pops?